Come in. Take a seat. Take a deep breath with me, okay? Take a breath. And I want you to know that you're going to be okay, and that what happened is also not okay. Look at me. Look at me. When I heard that your name was announced, I was surprised. And yet, not. So the bottom line is that you retaliated, and you got caught. And I know, hey, look at me. Look at me. It's not fair. It's not fair. I know it's not fair. You know it's not fair. And anybody in their lives who has been bullied knows that it's not fair. And that's more than not fair. It's, bullying is one of the most frustrating, kind of brutal things that a person can go through. The insanely deep feeling of injustice. And I get that. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Breathe. Now, I am actually very interested in hearing your side of the story. But I would like to make an observation that I've noticed, and it seems to be a bit more of a more recent trend that I'm seeing, which is so my wife and I are watching this show on TV called Suits. Maybe you've seen it. It's a drama. It's fun. It's a lawyer drama show, you know. Some hotshot lawyer and his young, illegitimate protege is a genius, but he doesn't actually attend Harvard or pass the bar, so, you know, it's kind of like if Good Will Hunting went to law. But what that show, especially in the first 3 or 4 seasons, did is it really normalized physical assault. Throughout the first several seasons, the main character is either often threatening to punch somebody or actually punching somebody. The various female characters on multiple occasions slap men in the face. And I want to be very clear. It's not okay. That is not the behavior of civilized people in a modern society. using the threat of violence is, well, first of all, it's way more dangerous than they make it seem on TV. Okay? On TV, somebody gets into a brawl and they get knocked out. And then they're fine, well, just a few scratches, cut lip or something. Maybe a bloody nose, but, they're fine. In reality, when someone gets punched in the face, all kinds of horrible things can go wrong. Okay? If somebody gets knocked down and they bang their head on concrete, that can actually cause lifelong permanent damage. Okay? And you can be charged with assault. Now, between you and me, I know who was bullying you. I know. And, it's... I deeply understand the feeling of injustice right now. Why are you sitting here in front of me, and why not them, right? And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you were the one caught retaliating. You hit them, and they fell down, and they made a big scene about how you were attacking them. I know. Shh, shh, shh. Look at me. Look at me. It is deeply unfair. And as I was saying earlier, I'm with you. I have a very deep sense of personal justice. And it does very much bother me when someone is being bullied. I don't know how else to put it. And so my heart is with you, okay? And I don't think, look at me, I don't think you're a bad person. Look at me. I don't think you're a bad person. In fact, quite the opposite. I think you're actually an amazing student. I think you're kind. I think you're very smart. I see you joking with your friends, and yet, here we find ourselves. And now, the problem with retaliation is that it so rarely, if ever, solves the problem. Because in my experience, what ends up happening is, so you're bullied, and you retaliate. Maybe you get them. Maybe you get them good. Well, now they're mad. Because you got the last word, right? You one-upped them. And so, do you think they're gonna go, man, you know what? I was really in the wrong, and I really shouldn't have been mean to that person. And I'm going to change the error of my ways from now on. Now, I'm not going to say that that never happens. Maybe sometimes. But the vast majority of times, that person now just has a vendetta. They just have an aggravated grief on you. And there's a famous phrase, you've probably heard this before, which is, look at me, hurt people hurt people. Now that may not seem like incredibly wise advice, but listen, I probably know a bit more about your bully than you do. And I'm not going to divulge details, but I will let you know, under no uncertain circumstances, that they have a very, very challenging situation. Okay? That doesn't justify. Hey, look at me. I'm not justifying and I'm not condoning their behavior. I'm not. But in a cycle of physical violence, in my experience, it almost never ends amicably. It almost never ends with both sides going, hey, you know what, yeah, you got me, I got you, let's just call it a truce and move on. In my experience, what you end up with is more the Hatfields and McCoys. You ever heard of that? Yeah, it's this famous family in Appalachia, the Hatfields and the McCoys. It's right around the time of the Civil War. Maybe it began a little bit before the war, just after, I forget, but in the 1860s, 1870s, 1880s. And this family, one of the brothers or whoever, had killed one of the opposing family's brothers. I don't know who shot first, if it was a Hatfield or a McCoy. It doesn't matter. Because what ends up happening is this famous blood feud. Eye for an eye and all that, right? So a Hatfield gets killed, so they kill a McCoy. So the McCoy is killed, so they kill a Hatfield. So the Hatfield's killed, so they kill a McCoy. And this goes on for like generations. Why? Was any useful outcome produced with all that destruction and violence? In the end, was there a family that was like, you know what, we see the error of our ways now? No. I don't know how long they went on murdering each other, but unfortunately, that's more human nature. It takes a great deal of strength, emotional strength, intellectual strength, to view a bully with sympathy. You know, it's kind of, it's the old adage, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That is from the Bible, but there's just such great wisdom in that. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And when I say that, I literally mean it. when somebody is behaving pathologically like your bully, and I know, okay? They're not behaving out of any rational behavior. Their life is a constant trauma response to something that is very undealt with in their own personal life. And the human ego is such that pain likes company. Grief likes company. When we're sad and we're feeling depressed and angry, it is almost impossible to have empathy for somebody else. It ends up spinning in like a narcissistic spiral. You feel righteous indignation because your life is so brutally painful. So how could you care about anybody else? I remember, gosh, you know what's funny? I remember when I was your age, I had a friend, and we went to go hang out. And I remember him saying that exact thing to me. It was this because he had been through some stuff when he was a kid, and he was pretty mellow by the time we were hanging out in like our late teens, mid to late teens, and he told me that basically almost word for word. It was just like, yeah, like when I was sad and depressed and angry, I just did not care what happened to other people. He said he didn't care. He was just angry and felt betrayed and felt shame and sadness, and it just didn't occur to him that anybody else should feel happy when he felt so sad and miserable. Now, you know that may not seem like it's helping you that much right now, but this back and forth of like one who got the last shot, who got the last strike on the other person, you know, like that pattern can only be won by whoever is willing to be more almost psychopathic. And I'm telling you, in the end, nobody wins. There's only losers. There are no winners, only casualties. Now, I am going to have to suspend you for one day. You struck a fellow student. They certainly cried a lot, didn't they? Yeah, where was the toughness displayed before, right? As soon as you got some revenge in, they cried and complained or ready to file charges against you, weren't they? Didn't they threaten to file charges? Yeah, don't worry, they won't. Or they might actually. I don't think so, though. We'll cross that bridge. I'm going to speak to them as well, don't worry. And and yet, do you think that's going to stop? Do you think it's now over, that you no longer have to worry about this person? Does that really feel true to you? Probably not. Exactly. So, look at me. Physical retaliation is not okay unless it is in direct self-defense. And let me ask, did they throw the first punch? And they didn't. They threw an insult. And I know it stung. I know it stung. But when something escalates from a conversation and verbal sparring to physical conflict, now we are in a very different situation. One that is not okay, and one that will not be resolved right now through more physical violence. Do you understand? Look at me. Do you understand? Good. And I don't think you're a bad person. I think you were put in a very tough situation. And you were dealing with a threat and a bully, and you felt like you had to protect yourself. I understand. And you are going to get a 1-day suspension. They're going to be getting at least that much as well, don't worry. And when you reflect on what's going on, I want you to come back being a better person. That is not you. You are not somebody that lashes out in violence. You are strong and can take care of yourself. And resorting to physical violence is not okay. Okay? All right. You may leave now. And I look forward to talking to you in a few days. Okay? All right. This is only a setback. It's not the end. Okay? Hang in there.